nothing to do with it, but I'm just.
Yeah, because see, my book, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be entitled, The Pretty Boy and the Monster. Because everybody know our history. Like I said, we was friends back when we were young. Then we turned enemies. Then we got cool again. But I've been getting comments from across the seas, England, Australia, Ireland, and I got one comment from Somalia. I said, wow. But like I said, that right there is enough to really make me push my book.
And the question that I've been getting, a lot of people been asking me, because I'm from Long Beach and you from LA, is Raymond Washington is going to be in your book? Like,
oh yeah, he's definitely going to be in my book. You can't make no book without Raymond.
From Long Beach, we think of Pretty Boy. We hear Little Fee. We hear Big U. We hear Raymond. We hear Monster Cody. We hear Cappuccino. So there's a lot of great history, bro. We can't wait to read it.
Yeah, but like I said, you can't leave those names out. You can't leave them out because that was the beginning, So like I said, if I mention anybody in my book, it's going to be a reputable. It's going to be a person, right, that always stood strong, and a person that nobody will never forget. That's just like some of the Long Beach crew that I knew when I was coming up, like Willie Gaither, for example. That was my boy. Me and Willie used to kick it all the time. I knew Trey D when we was in the joint back in the early 80s.
Salute to Trey D.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We was all kids. Half Dead, and who else? Man, there was a lot of dudes up there. Fox. There was a lot of dudes up there from Long Beach. A lot of dudes. And that's at the time, this is when they tried to pile all the Crips in prison back in the mid 80s to get us off the street.
Right.
So every turf that was in prison back then was like 25, 30 deep.
So like, I got a question, like, because I know like in the 80s, 70s and all that coming up, like, because a lot of people think LA and Long Beach, like, don't, like, who's those guys that's too far? Like, did y'all get along? Like, did y'all drive to Long Beach or did Long Beach? Because I know y'all met at concerts.
Yeah, we met at concerts and stuff like that, but there wasn't no set tripping back then. So nobody wasn't set tripping on each other.
Right.
No reason to set tripping on for each other. Like I said, it was cool back then. That's why when I always talk about the 70s and the early 80s, that was a cool era until us, the 60s and the 8 trays when we went to war. And like my homeboy once said, he said, the messed up part about that is it caused everybody to pick sides. It made everybody pick sides. Even though it wasn't nobody else's business, but it made everybody pick sides. So that's why you have this thing now when they say neighborhood and gangster.
Right.
Because it caused everybody to pick sides. See?
Last question, so I know you got a lot to do today. Do you think, like, the state of Crippin today, I know it's all watered down, it's not what it used to be, but do you think it could ever get to a point where it's all about community revolution in progress or community revolution in respiration?
Look, I've been asked that question for the longest, right? What can we do to tighten this up and all this stuff like that? Here's the problem. The problem is you can have 50 people that's down for that cause. All you take is one to screw it up.
All it takes is one.
All it takes is one to throw that rock. That's why we can't never get it right, because in actuality, in order for you to get it right like it was then, you would have to get rid of everybody that don't care about the cause.
Right.
That's the problem. And that's the main problem. That's why we will never, ever get this right unless you have to start all the way from the bottom.
Start it over?
Yeah. So that's how it went bad. When they killed Raymond, that's when everything went bad.
So one more. So like how they doing the free Larry Hoover and all that, and they saying if he could get out, he could possibly call the truce between the GDs and BDs. If it was for Tookie, rest in peace, if Tookie didn't execute, you think if he would have been out, so like a makeshift would have happened?
Here's the thing, right?
To help?
The thing with Took is this, right? See, he got caught up in that SHRM. he got caught up in the drugs. That's the only thing that kind of really messed him up, you know. And when he finally caught his case, you know, he probably got, you know, his head clear why he was in prison, but it was too late.
Too late. Which is
it was too late because he was already in there, you know. But the thing about it is, and I always tell everybody, if it wasn't for the drugs hitting like it did in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of us would have had our heads right. But drugs was a source, right, of divide and conquer. Because now you got people not only gangbanging for turfs, now you got them fighting for blocks to sell drugs. And you know, and I seen that shit get ready to go bad too. Because look, back in the days, right, you had one person might have had 10 blocks sold up selling drugs. He was cool. Then you had this person, he comes in, he want to sell drugs. So out of that 10 blocks, he take his one. Now he got 9 blocks.
Right.
So this dude may not trip. He said, okay, you can have that 1 block. But now all of a sudden he done took 2 more. So because you see where this is going to go, right?
Right.
Now you warn because he want to sell on the blocks that he took or you gave him, right? And now y'all fighting. Now he bringing other dudes in to help sell on that street, but y'all still warring with each other because it's not getting anywhere. You know, nobody. I'm gonna give you an example. It's just like in the 1920s with Al Capone and them selling beer, right? They all divided off where they want to sell at. Just like today and back then, they turned around and they start chipping off little pieces of everybody's hood to sell in. Commence the gang war.
Right.
It's the same thing now. It's just, instead of alcohol, it's just drugs.
Right.
You know?
Different skin color.
Nobody can't just sell and be content with their own area. You know, you got to go take somebody else's area and then start a war and then send them scratching your head talking about, hey man, they just came over and busted on us. Why? I don't know. You're lying. You know why.
Right.
Don't lie about it. Just tell it. Tell the truth. You know, we went over here, started selling in their hood, and they got mad.
Right.
So, like I said, you know, if the way things going now, right, we got to watch out for ourselves now. We got to watch out for ourselves because let me tell you something. Don't wake up one morning and you turn on the news and you see these enemies coming down the street with this Confederate flag. Mobbing. Because they done got balls now.
Right.
And that is the only reason why I think that a lot of homies will wake up. Because of that. But check this out. Why do you have to wait? Why do you have to wake up for some of that to happen? Some people say, oh, they'll never come through the hood. You don't know what the fuck somebody gonna do.
Right.
Just like when I woke up and seen them when running in the Capitol. Nobody didn't see that coming. Right, no. And you couldn't even made a bet with me and told me they would have did that. So I always said I don't put nothing past nobody.
Right.
You know? But that's how it is.
Appreciate you, OG.